Today, we're regrading the MLB trade deadline 1 year later. We're looking back at all the trades from the 2025 MLB trade deadline and giving you our thoughts and opinions with a little bit more time, a little more seasoning for some of these, especially because a lot of these deals have to deal with prospects, so we now have a little bit more of an idea and a feel of what they're worth, as well as the big names that were moved. Before we get going into it, make sure you guys are subscribed to the Windup over on YouTube. Big shout out to everybody listening to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We appreciate you. And also, big shout out to all our members who get access to the videos early. We really appreciate you guys. But first, we want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, SeatGeek. And with the MLB season in full swing, you've got the NBA Finals. World Cup is on its way. You want to go to some games. So use our code WINDUP10 to get 10% off any MLB tickets. What's also great is that SeatGeek is the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which means your tickets are fully guaranteed and instantly fulfilled after purchase. We've got the MLB All-Star Game coming up, Home Run Derby. I've got that circled big time. But there's also tickets to tons of other events like comedy shows, festivals, concerts, and so much more. Our favorite feature is, of course, their SeatGeek score. That's where they rate tickets on a scale of 1 to 10 to let you know if you're getting a good deal or not. So when searching for your tickets and you see that there's a score closer to 10 with a green dot on the map, that means it's a good deal. You should buy those tickets. When you see tickets with a score closer to 1 or a red or orange circle on the map, that means not a great deal. So once again, we've got the hookup for you guys over here on the Windup. So use our code WINDUP10 to get 10% off any MLB ticket purchase on SeatGeek. Click the link in the description right now, download the SeatGeek app, and use our code WINDUP10 to get that 10% discount. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back to it. All right, James, let's get started. Padres, big trade. Mason Miller and J.P. Sears going to the Padres, which sounds so funny to say that J.P. Sears was thrown in there. For Leo DeVries, Braden Nett, Henry Baez, and Eduarniel Nunez.
At the time, I thought the J.P. Sears inclusion would be like a huge wild card in that trade, like something the Padres really could use as they struggle for any pitching depth whatsoever. Very wrong on that, but the funny thing about this trade is that it looked really bad as last year finished because Leo DeVries got red hot with the A's through Double-A, and then the Padres, even with Mason Miller, didn't advance one round in the playoffs. It felt like the team was going backwards. Then this season they started hot. They're kind of regressing right now. It's going to be hard to kind of tell the full tale of this trade until the Padres do more things in the playoffs. But I still think process-wise, it's pretty blatantly obvious this was a bad trade.
Yeah, I mean, like, Mason Miller is phenomenal. I mean, he's striking out, 50% of the batters he faces. When he comes into the game, it's over. Like, you don't lose games when Mason Miller makes an appearance, but the kind of impact player that Leo DeVries projects to be is a franchise cornerstone. Like, this is a guy that you're going to be hopefully hanging the jersey of in the rafters someday. That's how good people think that he can be with his skill set. And you traded him away for another closer in a bullpen that was already phenomenal without Mason Miller. It made the Padres, theoretically better, of course, and that's what you always make these moves for, but it does seem like it probably didn't need to give up one of the top prospects in all of Major League Baseball to go get Mason Miller, especially if you weren't going to actually convert Miller to a starting pitcher, which is something that the Padres need so desperately.
But they probably did need to do it because of where the market stood at the moment for what other teams were offering for Mason Miller, which we'll never know.
Sure.
But, I mean, it's just still going to come down to, can the Padres win with this core? And we already have reports from, I don't remember if it was Olney or Passan, that the Padres are emerging as a front runner for Skubal, which will take every single prospect they have left. I guess
Who are they going to be able to give?
Ethan Salas having an amazing season.
So the Padres are doing the BS that they always do. It's just jack the guys up. No, I know he's playing
He's actually
well.
hitting well. But I mean, also the Tigers are full of catching prospects and young catchers, so that'll be funny. But I don't remember which one of them said that, but they said that they'll be the most aggressive, which obviously they'll be the most aggressive, but there's a team that...
I think Passan said that the Mariners as well are going to be super aggressive.
For Skubal? They have too many...
Yeah.
Too many starting pitchers are fighting about it.
Apparently, he said that's the best fit. That's what he thinks is the best fit for Tarek Skubal. Go back to the Pacific Northwest.
I guess the Pacific Northwest thing is one. I sadly think the Dodgers are the best fit, but we'll see what happens with the Phillies are a good fit, but they don't have anything to trade at the moment. The Cubs would be a good fit, but I don't know what they're trading either. There's a lot of fits. We'll get into this. Was kind of our way to wet the whistle on trade deadline content because now it's going to start coming at you.
I dipped my toes a little bit into it last week on my channel, uploaded at 11 p.m. Nobody cared. 1 of 10. Video's absolutely banging. So I do think that the trade deadline frenzy is here. We're going to grade this trade, though, James. I'm going to give it a C.
Who are we grading it for?
That's a great point.
We can't
this
just
is
we
the
can't
rare
just
that we have to do both
objectively grade
sides.
the trade.
Okay.
We'll say winners and losers.
Okay. Yeah, winners and losers. Winners, I think, are the Athletics. Has to be the Athletics, right?
I still take the Athletics as a winner. Again, like you said, DeVries is still DeVries.
DeVries.
He's still a cornerstone. He's going to be a 30 home run shortstop. Those are, again, maybe this era of baseball are not like the hardest thing in the world to come by, but to have that and throw that into the middle of what's already a star-studded young Athletics lineup, like that's, I can't see any way why they didn't win. But where'd the Athletics be right now if they had Mason Miller? That's kind of
Probably
funny.
in first place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they would be kind of much more of a shoe and playoff team. So I guess knock it down a little bit for that.
Yeah, but I will say I still think it leans very much in the Athletics' favor, even though the Padres at the moment have the best player in that trade.
Yeah, definitely. It's just a trade that honestly, when it came to the A's desk, you just have to make it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give the A's an A, and I'll give the Padres a C.
Okay, yeah, sure, same.
Astros, Carlos Correa in cash to the Twins for Matt Mikulski.
Yeah, this is kind of. I don't want to give the Twins credit and say that they won this trade because it was them just being super cheap, but they did get off one of the worst contracts in baseball somehow.
Oh, absolutely terrible. And the guy that they traded or traded for is, I don't even think in professional baseball anymore. I don't think he signed to a team currently.
Well, that was never the point of this trade.
New York guy, by the way, Mohegan Lake. Went to Fordham. Shout out New York. But yeah, Carlos Correa's not been nearly good enough for what the Astros are paying him. He's got the injury issues that we've known about forever.
Well, that's the funny thing about Correa is that, again, he was still hitting well. Like, he was still playing well enough.
The second half last year, he was great for them.
And the first half, just now, while he was on the field, he was playing well through that month of play. And they even threw him at shortstop because Jeremy Pena missed the big first chunk of the year in the injured list, and he was playing a solid shortstop as well. It's just that he cannot stay healthy, and you knew that about him. It's always feet and ankle things. It's an ankle again right now. I don't know I don't even know what they're thinking about when the next time he's going to play this year is.
Yeah, it seems like he's going to be out for quite some time, and the fact that the Astros made their team so clunky by they had Isaac Paredes and Christian Walker like on the corners, and you had Jeremy Payne, you had Jose Altuve, and then they're like, what if we trade for another infielder to make this even more complicated? Like, I know Paredes was hurt at the time, but Correa wasn't an expiring contract. He was going to be here for a while.
And it's funny that the Twins even kicked in, I think, all of last year's salary, and then $10 million each this year, next year, and the year after that, before all of Correa's vesting options kick in. Just to give you guys a reminder of Carlos Correa's vesting options, the 2029 option vests with one of 575 plate appearances, or a top 5 MVP, a Silver Slugger, or an LCS or World Series MVP. And it kind of
feel very different.
Yeah, and then it's the same vest every single year with the top 5 MVP, the Silver Slugger, the MVPs in the last 2 rounds, but then the plate appearance threshold goes down a little bit. But I don't know if Carlos Correa gets the 575 plate appearance 2028. So I think that is where the contract likely will end, but still he's making a big chunk of change. And again, hate to give the Twins credit for getting out from under that contract because it's just them being poor, but it was that bad of a contract, so it's worthwhile for them to have gotten out. So I think they're the winner.
Yeah. I think they're probably the winner in this, but also at the same time, like, this is like a C and a C grade. Like, who actually cares? Both sides.
I think the Twins' ownership cares. The Pohlad family cares a lot.
Yeah, but I can't give a good grade because the ownership's happy about it.
That's what I'm saying, but it still is. If a team who wasn't trying to be cheap and actually reinvested this money in the offseason made this trade, I'd be like, oh, yes. Hell yeah, this is an A++.
But they put that right in their pockets.
Yeah, just took that right to the collective bargaining meetings.
I can't wait. All right, Mariners, next trade. Eugenio Suarez from the D-backs to the Mariners for Tyler Locklear, Hunter Cranton, and Juan Burgos.
I'm talking about a trade that wound up being completely, like by the end of it.
Like nothing, yeah.
Like, you kind of hope that the Mariners made that move, because we're going to get to the Naylor trade in a second too, but like got the 2 corner guys that they desperately needed, and then from there, they would have inserted the power in their lineup to hopefully get over the hump. Instead, Eugenio Suarez showed up to the team with, I think, an injury that we all kind of just disregarded from getting hit by 2 pitches inside of a week with the All-Star game, one being one of them.
So insane.
And then he wound up being completely dead the entire second half. He's also been terrible now in the first 3 months of the season with the Reds. He looks like it might be the swan song for El Gino, but just a bad trade all around, because the Mariners also, not the Mariners, the Diamondbacks also, this was I feel like he was the most talked about guy last trade deadline.
Dude, do you remember, like, it was either Ken Rosenthal or, like, only one of the insiders were talking about how, like, Eugenio Suarez is one of the most highly sought-after names and that the Diamondbacks are going to get a lot for him. And then you look at what the Diamondbacks got back, there might not be a guy who makes a Major League appearance for the Arizona Diamondbacks in that trade past the year 2027.
Yeah, I'm still not going to quit on Locklear. He's having a bad season again.
I'm out. I never understood it with him. Tell me why people were hyped about it.
I think it was because he showed decent plate discipline, had plus power in the minor leagues. But it's not.
Yeah, it was just
kind of an
it was
easy
somewhere where it was like the Mariners had been dying for first base help, and they didn't even want to give this guy a sniff, it felt
Well,
like.
because we know how fake the PCL is, but he showed up good in Double A, which is that's not Tacoma for them. Tacoma is their PCL team. But regardless, this is a trade that wound up being on both sides, at least so far, nothing burger. Even the two pitchers, I think, are probably out of the organization within the next
pretty horrible.
12 months. Yeah, so that's
But
kind of nothing.
Mariners would be the winner of this one just because like Suarez had some big moments for them with some big home runs.
He had one. I think exactly one. That's
a win.
That's a win.
Phillies, Joan Duran for Eduardo Tait and Mick Abel. This is a fun trade.
This is a fun trade. This one at the time, I said that I thought, I wish this channel existed then so I could have pulled this to more people. I thought the Twins crushed this trade in the moment. And I kind of got some shit for that on Twitter. But even looking back, I know Abel got hurt again, which is annoying, but the flashes that he showed as a Twin, the end of last season and early this season, and now he's on the rehab. He's rehabbing, coming back soon. Like, oh, this actually looks like a true pitcher. And I haven't kept up with Tait enough, but he was.
Tait's, I think, around a top 100 prospect right now, and someone who a lot of the like international prospect circles love him as a hitter.
He's a freak, like athletic kind of guy, and he's still not even 20 years old, and he's in A ball, and he's not hitting that well this year. So again, but Abel getting a guy who's going to be probably in your rotation for years to come, while the Phillies have looks like they're going to still go on a run this year, but these trades for closers, it really just comes down to how many games, how far you can take your own team, and the Phillies last year kind of blew that.
Can I say some like insane stuff right now?
Mm-hmm.
Mason Miller is obviously better than Joan Duran, but I think at some point the difference in those two guys as a closer, the prospects that were given up, that's where it feels like it's insane. Like Mason Miller, Leo DeVries. Obviously, Mason Miller is better. The Phillies giving up Mick Abel and Eduardo Tait. Like, I know you like Abel, but I don't think he had the shine that he had coming out of the draft. Like, the quality of prospect changed massively here, more so than I think the quality of closers. Because Joan Duran, something that we've talked about on this channel a lot, he's a criminally underrated closer in baseball. He wasn't even in top 10 lists going into the season by some publications, which was insane. Yeah, MLB Network on the top 10 closers right now, I believe, did not have Joan Duran. Also, Joan Duran liked our clip of ranking closers when we called him elite. I think there is a group of baseball fans because he was in Minnesota and they saw like 3.6 ERA. Didn't think he was elite, but ever since he's been to the Phillies, I think he has a 1.79 ERA for the Phillies in 40 innings and a WHIP at .89. He's one of the 5 best closers in the game.
I think it'd be really hard to find 2 closers better than him in the game.
Mason Miller, I mean, yeah, he's probably 2 or 3.
That's the thing. I think that this year, too, the Phillies are basically like, hey, that split, that splink, you should throw that even more. And he's striking out more guys than he ever has. It's kind of like surreal. He's throwing that splinker so far this season 56% of the time to right-handed batters. And the sweeper that he basically introduced as a pitch like late in 2024, got comfortable with it last year. Now he's throwing that a quarter of the time. So basically, you're only going to see, if you're a right-handed batter against Joan Duran, a 90-mile-an-hour sweeper or a 98-mile-per-hour splink.
I remember, I think like right when we started living together in Astoria in 2020, I made a video about like top 100 prospect snubs, and Joan Duran wasn't on there. And I was like, okay, listen, guys, if he's not going to be a starter, I get it, but this is going to be a disgusting closer. I'm like, he has 3 different pitches, and he throws 102.
Yeah, he's blatantly one of, to me, the top 2, worst case scenario, top 3 closers in baseball. And I think he gets underrated as such. And this trade happened also before the Mason Miller trade. So that's kind of just a reminder of how the trade market works. None of these trades happen in a vacuum. They all happen in accordance of what all the other teams are thinking and doing. And the fact that this elite closer went off the board, and I'm sure that the Padres were going after him as well. And I'm sure that the Phillies...
I wish the Mets were going after him.
I'm sure that somebody... I mean, I don't think the Mets were going after that one, but that would have been nice. I'm sure that somebody asked the Padres for Leo DeVries for there, and they probably said no. And then afterwards, they were like, all right, he's a little bit better anyway. Might as well just give him up. He's the last guy available.
Yeah, no, I think the Phillies are the clear winners in this one.
I think this is a classic win-win.
I'm going to go more so on the Philly side.
I'll tip the scales towards the Twin side, because this is a team that knew they had no intention of winning for the next few years. So why are we keeping an elite closer anyway?
This is also me and you classic argument, because I remember like we had this when the Kyle Muller trade with the A's, and you're like, that's years of control. I was like, everyone needs to fucking stop with this
who else
nonsense.
did the A's get in that trade?
So Shea Langoliers. Yeah, no one was. People were like, yeah, Langoliers, whatever, like defensive first catcher at the time.
Yeah, so
but like I remember
to get
talking
the package with pitchers that keep the foundation of the value high.
Kyle Muller stunk. I don't know. Mick Abel, I'm out on. I'm not super high on him.
I love Mick Abel, so I think, and the Twins again. You have no intention of competing anyway, so why are you holding an elite closer?
Fair. That part's fair.
And that part sucks, but it's true.
Yankees acquiring Dave Bednar from the Pirates for Rafael Flores, Edglin Perez, and Brian Sanchez.
I mean, what they always tell you is that if you're getting offered one catcher in a trade, you got to try and make sure you get a second.
Yeah, of course.
That's
I
always the
mean,
way that goes.
I don't know what the Pirates were thinking. I think Rafael Flores got a call up, right? Like randomly.
Yeah, I think he got a game or two. No, he got a whole week this year. Yeah, he's also just not playing well at all in
Good.
AAA. Yeah, I don't think I don't
Yeah.
think he's a great catcher. He's probably a guy that's like a Fangraphs has him as a 40 future value. It's just a catcher with raw power who could likely play decent defense. But at the same time, some of what we just said about the A's, the Pirates were a team that kind of knew that they were still in their compete window, and they also
Yes.
knew that David Bednar was under team control next year. And you didn't really get blown away with the prospect package that told you had to trade him at this moment. And he would be a really, really great fit at the back of the Pirates bullpen right now.
Oh, could you imagine if they had Dave Bednar pitching back there? I know the Yankees have had like some major up and downs with him, and he hasn't been the most consistent since being there.
He hasn't.
But like, I do still think he is a good reliever at the absolute worst. Maybe not a closer for the New York Yankees, but still a very good reliever.
I still think he's a very good closer. Just he's something. I always get Nick Pollock from Pitcher List in my ear about this stuff. Like when you're a pitcher who just relies on that many splitters, it's just so inconsistent in nature that
Hector Neris.
yeah. I mean, so many other splitter guys out there, but it's just I completely blanked on splitter guys. I try to think of when I lost every single thing that ever existed in my brain. But
Kodai Senga.
don't talk about Kodai Senga. But the inconsistency in nature again. We'll get to that with more of these Yankee reliever trades probably as we move on a little bit. Still just a massive win for them.
Oh yeah, huge. They gave up not a single player that would have ever probably had an impact in this entire organization.
I'm checking Ed Glean Perez right now. He's
It's an interesting name.
He's 20, low A, and not hitting. Yep, that's
And what about Brian Sanchez? Let's get a look at the last guys. Bad job on us for not having that prepared before we recorded it, but that's how confident I was that none of these guys matter at all.
yeah. That's also playing poorly in High A as a turning 22 on the 4th of July. Wow.
Wow.
But yes.
Go USA.
So again, just a trade where the Pirates gave up an extra year of control for a not a homegrown player, but a player literally from Pittsburgh at a time when they were 1 year away from competing.
They made a beer after him, right?
So Pittsburgh has their own light beer called Icy Light.
Icy
That's
Light,
like only
yeah.
a thing in Pittsburgh. And Dave loves Icy Light. I've drank Icy Light with Dave. He's a hell of a guy. But he loved it so much that they did like commemorative cans, they did like a promotion with I think his face on the Icy Light can or box or something.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, he's a Pittsburgh dude. That's kind of it.
Next trade, jeez, Merrill Kelly to the Rangers, which ended up being one of the, by the way, only starting pitchers moved at the deadline. Also ended up being one of the worst moves. He was god-awful for the Rangers down the stretch, and the Diamondbacks got Cole Drake, David Hageman, and Mitch Bratt.
And this is kind of just this was funny because the Rangers team was shoving their chips in, where at the same time Merrill Kelly was dreadful. And then on top of that, Merrill Kelly said, I'm just gonna go back to the Diamondbacks in the offseason.
Yeah,
Which
literally.
We always hear about like teams and fans like fantasizing about that scenario, but to watch it actually happen in real time was very funny.
Yeah, and the Diamondbacks, go figure, they got some decent pitchers here. Like Mitch Bratt's in AAA right now, pitching in the PCL in Reno, has an ERA below 3, doesn't let up many base runners. A whip under 1 in that league is super impressive at 22 years old. That's a guy who's probably going to pitch for the Diamondbacks within the next couple seasons, maybe as soon as this year at the major league level.
Yeah, at the time I definitely liked Drake more because Drake just had like
Yes.
a legit fastball from the left side. He's a hoss, 6'5", 220. He was sneaking onto the back end of like some hipster top 100 prospect lists. He's again not pitching great this year, but I still think with a fastball and a good curveball, he probably at worst winds up as like a potentially dominant left-handed reliever.
And also Reno's, like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
so
terrible.
hard to pitch in the PCL. It's the same thing where we're like, who cares if the guy hits well in the PCL? I don't care if they pitch poorly in the PCL.
Yeah, it's a shame because it makes it much more difficult to evaluate these guys unless we can actually get the stuff readings. But it's just hard. But the Diamondbacks did incredibly in this trade, I think.
Yeah, this is a major win for them because they got 2 pitchers that are going to pitch at the major league level for them. And then, like, the Hageman guy looks like he was kind of just like a throw-in shout-out. Summers Point, New Jersey. I've never heard of that place. He went to
That's Philly, New Jersey for sure.
Holy Spirit High School in Absecon, New Jersey. Those are 2 places in the state that we grew up in that I've never heard of in my life. That's either, like, so far south that it's Philly or it's so far west that it's, like, the country.
Absecon is, like, next door to Atlantic City.
What a crazy area to be from.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, like, great trade for the Diamondbacks. This is a major win for them.
Wow, right next to the Atlantic City International Airport. People forget that exists.
There's an international airport in Atlantic City.
Oh, yeah. There's flights that run from there.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
I don't know why I just wouldn't trust a plane landing there.
But great get for the Diamondbacks and just goes to show how insane the starting pitcher market was last trade deadline and probably will be again this trade deadline.
Well, let's have some fun. Let's talk about one of the worst trades.
Yeah.
Ryan Helsley to the Mets for Jesus Baez, Nate Dome, and Frank Elisalt.
Yeah, this isn't even like fair to talk about because there was nothing about Ryan Helsley that would have made anyone think he would perform like the worst reliever in baseball for the last 2 months of the season, and like kind of almost single-handedly keep the Mets out of the postseason. And then the flip side of this as well is that the Mets gave up. They did a lot of this to trade deadline last year, where they gave up guys who've been in the system for a little while who weren't guys drafted or as developed by the new regime. Where at the same time, we're going to get some other trades here. They did give up a lot of volume, and the more volume you give up, the more opportunities that other teams have for things to hit. With this trade specifically, nothing has hit, but Dome was an SEC pitcher. Elisalt has like funky stuff. He's got a cool low slot fastball. And Baez, he was dreadful, and he was kind of trending down a bit for the last few years, but he also is a guy that has physical tools. He probably winds up being like a rotation infielder in the major leagues one day.
Yeah, he's struggling right now. I think he has like a sub 300 on base in the minors, but that was always his game with the Mets. He has crazy exit velos. Dome's struggling. Elisalt's struggling. This is not a win necessarily because of what the Mets.
Elisalt is going. I think he's going to wind up pitching well, but he's been kind of. I think he's been injured this whole year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do it.
Yeah.
But it's not like the Mets gave up these insane players for Ryan Helsley. It's more that the Mets are the losers because Ryan Helsley single-handedly kept this team out of the playoffs.
Just completely sunk them. He performed like one of the worst relievers in baseball the entire time. And then he went to the Orioles in the offseason and looked like a really good reliever again before getting hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, it was shocking how bad he was. So, yeah, that one stinks. All right, Blue Jays got Shane Bieber. Guardians, Cal Steven. Cal Steven was a trendy top 100 prospect for a while, too, especially when this trade was made.
Yeah, and Cal Steven is a guy who, again, profiles like he'll almost definitely be a major league starting pitcher for the Guardians at some point.
Yes.
He's more of feel over stuff. He has multiple breaking balls that he likes a lot. He's just going to wind up being a strike thrower who, like, he'll just be like the next Slade Ciccone. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like he'll do that, but there probably is like even a hint of upside because usually the Guardians are decent at coaxing more velocity out of pitchers. But this was also such a weird trade in the moment because if you remember, Shane Bieber was still very much in a rehab assignment.
Yep.
And he didn't even make his debut. Oh, Cal Steven, another Mississippi State Bulldog.
SEC.
Crazy. Mississippi State is all over the major leagues. Unbelievable. But this was such a risky move by the Blue Jays, who at the time we weren't even totally sure of where they stood in the context of Major League Baseball. So credit to them to knowing themselves, knowing how good their team was. And there were glimmers of Shane Bieber being very good for them, and he's actually on the rehab assignment right now, so maybe he comes back for them. But he didn't really perform that great in the big spots he got put into.
Yeah, I think he was good in the ALCS. One of those starts against the Mariners.
Yankees. Oh, DS.
No,
like a DS.
Yeah. Yankees. He was horrible. He was not good. He 2 2/3. He got smoked. But against the Mariners, he was good. Against the Dodgers, he was acceptable. Like he gave up 2 runs in 6 innings. Like you take that if you're a Blue Jays fan.
I think that was over 2 appearances though.
Let's see. Was that over?
There was like a 4, and then there was a relief appearance in Game
2
6.
appearances for the Dodgers. Yeah. But like at the same time, I don't know. It's a trade you probably still take the risk on every single time if you're the Blue Jays. You brought him back the next year too, which like kind of like mitigates the idea of like trading a prospect in a way.
Kind of. But that was like a double-edged sword because I think he only opted in because of how roast beef he knew his arm was.
And that's something that me and you have like spoken about a lot pre the windup was like Shane Bieber. Obviously, the run he had where he was a Cy Young pitcher was unbelievable. He was so ridiculously good, but we had saw the stuff tick down and down and down, and we kind of thought that there was maybe some roast beef going on in that elbow, and now that we're seeing it, it's like, oh, okay, we kind of did see that coming.
Yeah, it was like the second he opted into that contract when we all were talking about how weak the starting pitching market was this free agency. We were like, oh, shit, something must. Either he's the nicest guy in the world and he wants to be in that locker room more than anything else, or something is wrong.
Yeah, no. But overall, like I think it's a fine trade from both sides. That feels like a win-win for the moment.
Yeah, nothing crazy.
Padres, Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano for 6 prospects, which it sounds insane. It's also hilarious. MLB.com doesn't even tell you who the prospects are, just 6 prospects.
Yeah, I'm loading it up right now trying to figure out who those prospects were again. But I remember it being something Schoolcraft. Whatever.
No, Schoolcraft did not. I got it.
They
So
kept
the
Schoolcraft.
Orioles got Boston Bateman, Cobb. I mean, these are the craziest names ever. Cobb Hightower, Tyson Neighbors, Victor
Neighbors, that was
Figueroa,
one.
Brandon Butterworth. What are these names? And Tanner Smith. It was talk about volume and volume from an organization that has no prospect volume.
No, none whatsoever. But it was kind of the rest of the volume because they were just shoving in. But at the same time, after you make, or was this was just after the Mason Miller trade, if I remember correctly.
I believe so, yeah.
This was one that you kind of had to do because you already traded the jewel of your system. You went out and got a closer. You had tons of holes on your team anyway. And O'Hearn and Laureano were massive for them. Funny enough, Laureano was the one who was great down the stretch last year. O'Hearn is the guy that faltered. Now that O'Hearn has gone on to greener pastures, he's the guy that's had a great year, where Laureano has fallen off a cliff back with the Padres again this season. But again, in the moment, they definitely still, I mean, it is funny. I guess it didn't change their ceiling or their floor at all, because they still would have made the playoffs. They didn't make this trade, and they still wouldn't have advanced around.
No, all it did was just take their farm system, which was already weak, and say, you have even less guys. Boston Bateman is a 6'8" lefty. Padres love these freak players. That's like, you're tall, fast, throw hard. You're going to be a San Diego Padre in the draft. He's the guy who I think going into that trade was the most exciting for the Orioles, and I think is performing the best right now. He's a top 10 prospect in their system. He's 20 years old. He's got like 3 good pitches that grade like above average, I think, fastball, curveball, slider, which always is an interesting mix from the left side, but seems to be doing pretty well so far in A-ball as a 20-year-old.
Figueroa is a power bat in high A that is struggling with swing and miss, but also getting to power as a 22-year-old. I mean, again, from the Orioles' perspective, it's like 2 guys who you thought nothing of and you weren't going anywhere. If one of those prospects contributes in any way to the major league team, you've won this trade. And I think just for them cashing in for volume, which is funny because they had we all thought the Orioles had so much volume. Then it turns out they didn't have that much volume. Then they cashed in so much of that volume in the Shane Baz trade. So I guess this was maybe one of the precursors to making that Shane Baz trade, which I guess maybe, again, talk about double-edged sword, but I would still call them winners.
Yeah, I mean, it's a totally whatever trade to me at this point.
Yeah. We got a lot of whatever trades down here, so maybe we can move through those a bit faster.
Yeah, we'll move a little faster. Ryan McMahon to the Rockies for Griffin Herring and Josh Groves. I think the Griffin Herring guy, I actually think his stuff's pretty decent, if I'm remembering correctly, but it's just you're a Rocky, so good luck.
Yeah, who cares trading pitchers to the Rockies? It's just you almost feel bad for the kid at that point.
You feel it's like, as an organization, why are you trading for pitchers? Yeah, I mean, what are you doing?
You still need them.
Just find them anywhere.
You can't just have no one pitch. I mean, he's a...
Ryan McMahon's also been probably the worst, maybe the second worst third baseman behind Brian Hayes, who also was a trade deadline move.
I'm embarrassed. I like that fit, honestly.
I thought it was going to be great, too. I thought McMahon just pull the ball down the line, play good defense, but somehow, some way, he's just not hitting at all.
No, he's terrible. And again, the Yankees, another team that volume shot last trade deadline, really wound up being kind of funny looking back.
Mariners, Josh Naylor for Brandon Garcia and Ashton Izzy. This, to me, is a massive win for the Mariners.
This was the biggest win of the entire trade deadline, almost. Because you did get a rental, but then you wound up re-signing him for a contract that we'll see how it looks in 3 years, but who cares? You're in your championship window right now. Naylor was huge.
Yeah, Naylor was awesome.
On the field, off the field, he was everything for that team.
Starting to heat up now, too, this season after a slow start. Looks like he's going to be completely fine the rest of the way down the line. And Brandon Garcia and Ashton Izzy, if I remember correctly, Brandon Garcia is like a 26-year-old prospect that's like kind of swingman-ish. And then Ashton Izzy was a little bit of an older prospect, too. I want to say like 23, 24.
No, he's younger, but he's in
he's the young one?
Yeah, he was the young one. He's in Double-A now, and he's not doing a ton.
Yeah, I mean, for the Mariners to get a power bat at first base like that, just a huge win for them.
Something they needed desperately and something that dramatically changed, again, both their ceiling and their floor as they went down the stretch last season.
Talk about maybe the worst trade of the deadline. The Red Sox got Boston. The Red Sox got Dustin May, a half a season of him, for James Tibbs and Zach Earhart.
Less than half a season. I think it's like 41% of a season.
Did the Red Sox DFA him even before the season ended? Do I have that in my head correctly?
I don't know. I could definitely see Craig Breslow doing some wacky shit like that. But James Tibbs has completely blown up now in the Dodger system.
Also, I think too much blowing up for him, though. There's a lot of things I think if other prospects did it, you wouldn't be as high on him. James Tibbs, there's a lot of stat line scouting going on right now with him.
Well, of course, it's Dodgers, and it's also the PCL. But at the same time, to give up a prospect that you even thought could be a small side platoon outfielder with legitimate potential major league pop for half a season of Dustin May. Less than half a season of Dustin May, sorry. And half a season of Dustin May when it seemed like you made the move for a guy that you wanted ready-made pitching to help you get over the hump. And Dustin May was the furthest thing from a sure thing at the moment of the trade. You tried a bunch of adjustments with him. Did not work whatsoever. And then you wind up getting yourself in a spot where this guy was unplayable for you down the stretch after you went out of your way to trade for him.
Yeah, he was horrendous. And, I think he's pitched better of late for the Cardinals right now. Not that it has anything to do with the Red Sox, but teams have tried with Dustin May, and it's not really ever worked. If the Dodgers couldn't make it work, I don't have a lot of faith in many other orgs.
It was also just the signal to the Red Sox fans that they cared so little about the return they got for Rafael Devers that they immediately flipped. Turns out again, multiple nice pieces of that trade they could have had their organization.
Yeah.
One of them being James Tibbs for a pitcher that almost every single person who watched a second of baseball last season could have been like, oh, he's probably not well suited to help a team in the playoff race. And again, with James Tibbs, it's like a worst case scenario, you have a left-handed hitting power bat. Like worst case scenario, you'll have a guy who's a strong side platoon.
Worst case scenario, he was a first-round pick a year ago.
Literally, and you just brought him in along with Kyle Harrison, who's going to be an all-star. He's going to get Cy Young votes this season for Rafael Devers, and you just pissed it all away to your fans. And the last piece you got in that trade, I don't know if this was an off-season trade, but it's hot because David Sandlin just debuted. He had one really good start, one bad start. Then you salary dumped Jordan Hicks, and you added a prospect in David Sandlin who has legitimate stuff. And it's like, why? What is the process with the Red Sox right now?
The process is no process. The process is Craig Breslow is drunk with power.
Yeah, it's chaos. Just pure chaos.
Rays acquired Griffin Jacks for Taj Bradley. Feels like a good trade for both sides.
This is my kind of trade right here. This is real ball. This is hoops. Like Griffin Jack, especially since he's gone to the rotation with the Rays, has been great. He was abysmal in the bullpen. But now they've unlocked something else. They've rewidened his pitch mix. He's gotten away from throwing so many sweepers to the lefties. The color looks nice. The fastball looks nice. And also Taj Bradley looks like, again, I think he's another one where people were thinking he took too much of a step early.
Yes.
But he has taken a step. He is a major league caliber pitcher. He's not an ace, but he's a guy who's probably going to wind up in the ERA around low 4s, high 3s end of the season. It's great.
He's also a guy too where like you could even convince me in a couple years because the Twins do have some pitching magic stuff going on where like all of a sudden you'll look at a year and be like, wow, that was a really great season for Taj Bradley. Like sneak into a 3-3, strike out 200 guys.
And it's also just nice to have guys like that in your organization who you're like, yeah, every 5 days. And again, the Rays knew that they could, I guess, manufacture those guys more so. Steven Matz has turned back into a pumpkin. Nick Martinez in the process of pumpkining right now. But Bradley kind of just seemed like there was a need for a change of scenery there. And it also felt like the Rays always knew they were going to put Jacks back in the rotation.
Yep. Next up, Yankees, Camilo Doval for Tristan Vreeling, Jesus Rodriguez, who's now catching for the Giants, Parks Harbor, and Carlos De La Rosa. And at the moment when that trade happened, me and you both were like, that's all they had to do to get Camilo Doval. Now watching Camilo Doval pitch for a decent amount of time for the Yankees, yeah, he's like got to be one of the most frustrating pitchers to watch in baseball.
Yeah, especially things we've heard about Camilo Doval would make me understand why an organization would want to rid themselves of Camilo Doval and not really worry that much about what they're getting back in return. At the same time, Rodriguez is kind of fun. Like he can
catch, he can play the infield, he can play the outfield.
Yeah, catcher with a legitimate stick. I think he's a lefty bat too, if I remember correctly. Like he's a guy who I think I gave a look in like my deepest of fantasy leagues. No, he's a righty bat, but just an athletic enough catcher who you think is going to hit around league average, who can mix in the outfield, who's like legitimately fast. Like it's a fun profile and one that it's a nice piece to have on the roster. Like as it gets older, like I think he's better than Flores, who was the big piece of the Bednar trade, which is funny.
Yes. Oh, I agree. Definitely. I don't know if at the time he was considered that, but yeah he definitely is better right now.
Yankees catching factory. Imagine dumping 3 catchers at the deadline.
And you get 2 arms who should have been legitimate, like big arms to help you win games down the stretch, and you get knocked down the ALDS.
Yeah. And again, both those arms now have come into the season not pitching tremendously, but still, I think for the game theory overall, like this was still worth it for the Yankees. But now looking back, kind of winds up being a wash.
I do think this will be the last one we talk about for more than 2 minutes at a time. Mets acquired Tyler Rogers for Jose Butto, Blade Tidwell, and Drew Gilbert.
So this wound up being one of the trades that had the worst PR around it.
Yes.
Because the Mets bamboozled the Giants in this trade.
Yeah, Drew Gilbert, he was hot for 3 games, and he was also like the energy guy, and the Giants won a few games when he got called up, and then you looked at his numbers at the end, and you're like, oh, he was 30% worse than league average at the plate, and walked 3% of the time.
Yeah, it's funny to say now because of how much trash on the Mets 40-man roster, but these were 3 guys who they probably had a chance to be DFA'd over the next 2 years or non-tendered. So it's to get Tyler Rogers, who it was an interesting moment for Tyler Rogers with the Mets because they kind of failed him where Tyler Rogers' whole thing is soft contact. The Mets have bad defense, so a lot of the soft contact Tyler Rogers gave up turned into hits, turned into 2-out hits, turned into run-scoring hits. But, I mean, they tried really hard to re-sign him. The Blue Jays had to give him a 4th-year option to get him. He's one of the most consistent, steady, reliable relievers in baseball. This was an all-time slam dunk trade by the Mets. It just, process-wise, it just happened to not really work out.
Yeah, no, it didn't work out in terms of results, but the Mets gave up 3 guys, like you said, that weren't going to really be on this roster. Jose Butto was going to be DFA'd. That was the fantasy trade you make where you're like, I'm going to cut this guy. Let's see if someone will take him as a throw-in in a trade.
And again, this is also probably a thing where Buster Posey just was like, I'm gonna volume shoot, and it didn't really work out that well.
He saw two SEC for former like first and second round picks right there, and Drew Gilbert and Blade Tidwell.
Yeah, right. Next, quick.
Maybe he just wanted Tony Vitello all the way back then because those were Tennessee guys too.
Yeah, it probably is it. Just starting to make sure you could like attract him like a bee to honey, or bear to honey.
So funny. Zach Littell trade. The only thing I want to mention this, so Zach Littell went to the Reds. The Rays got Hunter Fiducia, Brian Van Bell, and the Dodgers got Adam Serwinowski, Paul Gervais, Ben Rorfet. Serwinowski, I know, is struggling this year, but he's someone who I think is going to be actually a quite good starting pitcher for the Dodgers. His stuff looks really good.
And Gervais either got traded again this offseason or he got released because now he's in the Dodgers system.
No, he went to the Dodgers in that trade.
Oh, this was to the Dodgers? What?
Yeah.
Oh, the Dodgers acquired. Oh, three-way trade. My bad. Got confused.
Three-way trade, yeah. That was the Rays brought him to the Dodgers.
Yeah, I guess, just Fiducia starts. He plays games for the Rays.
Yeah, Zach Littell stunk.
Yeah. Zach Littell was even worse this year, but it's a trade.
Harrison Bader was one of the better trades, go figure.
Yeah.
The Phillies, like he provided a huge spark plug for them.
Huge spark for them, was actually productive with the bat, like the most consistently in his career, has reverted totally back to being regular Harrison Bader this year. But for them to get like Harrison Bader for like a second division outfield prospect and Henry Mendez was a nice piece.
Yeah, no, but I actually think Henry Mendez is like playing pretty well right now though for the Twins in AAA. I think he might be getting a call up soon. His numbers have looked pretty nice while Jenkins and Emmanuel Rodriguez have been hurt.
He's a lefty with a nice hit tool, good raw power, but absolutely no defense. Yeah, he has hit really well in AAA. Wow,
That's what I'm saying.
He's hit really well in AAA. Oh,
Might get a look.
take that one all the way back.
I mean, good trade both sides.
Yeah,
good
works
trade
out.
both sides.
Here's a bad trade both sides, or one side.
Yeah, one side for sure. Mets got Cedric Mullins. Orioles got Anthony Nunez, Ramon Gomez, and Chandler Marsh. I don't know what Marsh and Gomez are up to. Anthony Nunez, stuff looked good. He started off the year great. I think he's struggled of late.
Yeah,
but there was no worse hitter I think you could have traded for than Cedric Mullins at the deadline.
No, which is amazing that Cedric Mullins, he was like as bad as Ryan Helsley was as a pitcher, Cedric Mullins was worse as a hitter. We also thought Cedric Mullins would be a good fix. I figured he would just play good defense and just hit enough to be capable. He didn't hit anywhere close to enough to be capable. Anthony Nunez, again, already impacting the major league team, was good, like Mark said. Stuff is great, but has had some bad outings recently. Ramon Gomez throws gas, but
like 104, but doesn't know where it's going.
Doesn't know where it's going, and he got hurt early this season. He hasn't pitched much at all. He got hurt late last season. He's barely pitched this year at all, but still, I'd probably rather have those guys in my system than have had those 2 months of Cedric Mullins.
A million times over, I would rather had them. And then another one of like maybe the worst trades ever. The fact that the Reds took Key Brian Hayes and his contract and then gave up like prospects and players. Like you didn't just get Key Brian Hayes for a bag of balls. That's absolutely insane to me. In your own division, you helped out another team.
Same, but also I think the Pirate. Yeah, you mean taking the money off the Pirates' books?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like the Reds did the Pirates a favor.
Yeah, big one.
Key Brian Hayes, like I hate doing it because he's whatever, but like he's horrible. He's horrendous.
He is bad. And I think the Reds are kind of dying for him not even to be pitching on their team playing on their team this year.
No, I think they might be more valuable to have nobody stand at the plate than have Key Brian Hayes at this point.
At least as valuable.
Jose Caballero ended up being one of the better trades at the deadline.
He was a baller last year down the stretch for the Yankees. One of those trades where it's like, this is exactly what the team needed. A bit of athleticism, a bit of defensive juice, just a little bit of just like kind of psycho energy. And he was really critical for them. Again, didn't really get them anywhere besides beating the Red Sox. And Everson Pereira has, I think, flashed again as just being an older prospect now, swing and miss, big power. But that's something that sometimes the Rays have that works out. But now he's not even on the Rays anymore. So, that's how it goes.
I'm looking through some of these other trades, too, that happened that are funny. Miguel Andujar was huge for the Reds down the stretch. Massive. Like, they probably don't make the playoff. Where would the 2025 Reds be without Miguel Andujar is going to be a funny sentence going down the line. And then also, just talk about crazy trades, too. The Red Sox getting Steven Matz.
Yeah.
They were like Steven Matz and Dustin May and gave up Blaze Jordan, who was a guy who, like, had some juice at one point. Never really, like, a top prospect, but hitting juice in terms of, like, maybe he could be a power hitter for the Red Sox at some point, going to the Cardinals. Some really strange trades looking back at it.
It was a weird deadline, just the way that the prices have changed for starting pitchers. I think that really made the reliever market get crazy. Like another one the Yankees made, getting Jake Bird for Rock Riggio and Ben Shields. Two guys who a lot of the hipster prospect analysts like, and Bird's been, again, terrible. Kyle Finnegan pitched really well for the Tigers, but he did get hurt right in the middle of it. The Freddie Fermin Padres trade is going to wind up being notorious because, damn, that team would have loved Ryan Bergert and Stephen Kolek on their team this year.
Yep.
And you probably figured, Fermin is absolute lights-out, dominant defensive catcher, so that's worth a lot. But kind of, again, weird. Padres just completely turning the value chart upside down last year at the deadline. The Cubs getting Willie Castro and him being similar to Cedric Mullins, one of the worst players in baseball afterwards.
This is a fun one. Pirates getting Evan Sisk from the Royals for Bailey Falter. Evan Sisk's been a great little left-handed reliever for them in the bullpen right now.
Yeah, it really has been. Danny Coulomb, the Rangers too. He pitched well. I think he wound up getting retraded. Am I remembering that right? No, he didn't get retraded. He got cut.
I'm not sure about that.
I don't
one.
remember what happened to Danny Coulomb, but I remember he pitched well after that trade.
Jay's got Brandon Valenzuela in this trade deadline. Now he was the piece for Will Wagner to the Padres, and Brandon Valenzuela is one, like we put in our backup catcher here, one of the best backup catchers in baseball.
Another really low-key trade right here that wound up being pretty critical. Cubs acquiring Michael Soroka, who got injured immediately, and now Soroka's good again, but they dealt Ronnie Cruz to the Nationals.
Who's a hot prospect now.
He's become a real breakout, easy top 100 prospect, probably with lots of helium for more. That's kind of a fun one to look back on.
Also, Angels. Oswald Peraza right now might
Look
be
good.
one of the favorites to be starting second base in the All-Star game, which is kind of funny to say.
That is funny. And then the precursor to that David Sandler and Jordan Hicks trade, the Red Sox got back right-handed pitcher Gage Zeal in that trade, but at the deadline, the Yankees traded Zeal for Austin Slater.
There you go.
Also, the Blue Jays got Sir Anthony Dominguez. He pitched in the World Series. When you make a low-key trade at the deadline, that guy pitches in the World Series for you. That's something. Gave up some big hits in that World Series, but also got some big outs.
Mets, Gregory Soto.
Yeah.
I mean, at least they didn't give up anything.
Look how good he's pitching right now.
Yeah, just couldn't be good for the Mets.
No, definitely not. Any other?
I think that's pretty much it looking at these. I mean, the Braves traded for Eric Fetty, which is crazy.
Yeah, and Carlos Carrasco.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
They're still hanging on.
Chris Paddock to the Tigers. Basically cost them the AL Central.
Basically, almost.
He was so bad.
Yeah, dreadfully bad. The Brewers got Jordan Montgomery. Still waiting on that one.
Oh, my God. And Shelby Miller. Still waiting on that one, too.
Brock Stewart as well with the Dodgers.
Yeah, James Outman. Wow. Remember James Outman?
Yeah, James Outman, I think he's still... I mean, Ryan Gusto just got called back up by the Marlins. He got traded last year for Jesus Sanchez from the Astros. I thought that was going to work. Didn't work.
Jesus Sanchez looks great, though, on the Blue Jays, doesn't he?
Looks totally solid. He has like the same stats as Vladdy, which is funny.
That hurts to hear.
I mean, hey, that could be good or it could be bad. Depends how much attention you're paying.
But overall, this trade deadline absolutely stunk. 2025 trade deadline is going to go down as one of the absolute worst.
Oh, disaster. It's going to basically go down to see whatever winds up happening with a guy like Leo DeVries. That's kind of it.
Yeah, that'll be the whole thing. And I'm interested to see what it does to the deadline market this year because last year's was so bad.
I think it's also just about how the new playoff format has impacted the how teams are approach the trade deadline, how aggressive teams are as buying. Also, think the Dodgers impact this, how dominant they are. It's already turning up, looking like it's going to be another weird market. So I'm kind of just keep an eye on that.
Yeah, and we'll make a bunch of content for you guys for the trade deadline. Make sure you're subscribed to the Windup over on YouTube so you don't miss out. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we do appreciate you. You can follow James on social media at
James Shiano.
And I'm Drafting. Mark, thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.